Do you want to please state your full name, where you were born, what year you were born, and where?
My name is Shawna Elizabeth Butts. I was born June 29th, 1990 at McMaster University Hospital.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, goodness. I think it would have to be in the Dundas area. I haven't lived here my whole life. I've lived here for about probably 21 years. And it would have to be coming to the Dundas driving park. And I remember seeing it for the first time, and it was just so green. And I always had a ton of fun horsing around on all the old play toys that they had there, like the old teeter-totter. And they had this like steel horse that you could like push back and forth. And it was probably like the worst toy because it'd get blazing hot in the summertime. But yeah, those are my first really good memories of Dundas.
Who took care of you growing up?
A lot of people, thankfully for that. My mom was a single mom for about 6 years, and then my stepdad came into the picture, and I've been raised by them ever since. With a hand from my grandmother when my mom was a single mom, so it was good.
So where are your parents from?
They're from Ancaster. So my mom is actually American, and she came to Ancaster when she was 2 years old. And my stepdad is from Jerseyville, which is kind of a little farm community on the outskirts of Ancaster.
So how did they meet?
They met in high school. So they both went to Ancaster High, and he's about 4 years older than my mom. And he was best friends with one of her brothers. And he always says that he had the biggest crush on her all through high school, but because she was Bruce's little sister, he couldn't really do anything about it. And I guess New Year's, 18 years ago, they met, and I guess met again after so many years, and they got married.
That's adorable.
I know.
Wait a minute, I just want to make sure everything's still tip-top.
Yes, it is. Would you be willing to tell me a story about your grandparents? Or tell me a story about a memorable story about your grandparents?
Recent?
It doesn't have to be recent. It could be a story involving you, or just a story that you've heard about them.
What haven't I heard? I could go on with this question. I really could.
I know, that's why it's here.
That's why it's here. So, my Nona raised 4 kids all by herself. She is, I think, one of the strongest people I know. She, back in the 40s, women went to school to become, they'd get their MRS degree, they'd go to school to become a housewife. And that's what she took at the University of Vermont. And then she eventually wanted to, provide a better life for her kids. And she went to nursing school and worked days, nights, afternoons, anything. And she put 3 kids through university all by herself. So I think that's pretty miraculous, but she's awesome. She's the older she gets, the crazier she gets. And she'd watch me as a child when my mom was working, and when I guess I took a tumble down the stairs, and the only thing that she said was, "There she goes." And that's the kind of woman she is, and to this day is filled with one-liners. And she'll call and say, "I'm coming over." You're like, "Oh, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes." You're like, "Okay, sounds good, thanks."
She sounds adorable.
She is adorable. She also brought the pie.
I want that. That's going on record. She brought the pie.
She brought the pie to feed the Dundas Museum staff.
Was your family religious at all, and did that affect your social interactions?
Well, my mom wanted to raise me, I guess she was baptized as, I think, Methodist. And her parents were never the ones to go off to school, so she didn't understand why, she had to be baptized. And so for both myself and my sister, she decided not to have any of us baptized. She wanted us to have, a freedom of religion. She wanted us to believe, no matter what, and didn't want to enforce it on us at an age where, we couldn't understand religion. And, I'm thankful for her for that, because I think I have, a better appreciation of, cultures around the world. To me, like, there's no one side that's right. Everyone should be able to believe whatever they want, and I think that's a great value that she has instilled upon me. I guess not a value, but an upbringing that she, has allowed me to have. So, no, never been to church in any of the churches in Dundas. It's not timing out on you?
No, that's what I'm like, okay, that's my biggest fear with this, because I haven't tested this full length of it yet.
Okay.
But it's going good, and you're doing great.
Thanks.
I'm just going to interview you all the time, and that's it. And you are going to be the voice of Dundas.
You can dress me up as an old lady.
Get your acting chops going.
Yep.
So what area of Dundas did you grow up in, and describe it?
So apparently, I didn't know Dundas was split up into different, like boroughs, but York Heights is apparently where I've grown up in Dundas. So that's Helen Street, which is above the driving park. And I guess, that's kind of really influenced the childhood and upbringing that I had in Dundas, because I was on a very quiet street. I could safely walk up and down the street, and my parents would say, be home when the lights come on. And, I'd go down to the driving park and play on the swings or play a round of soccer or baseball. And so it was a very, active lifestyle. I'd go biking through the driving park almost every night in the summer and walk my dog around the cemetery, the Grove Cemetery at the end of my street. So it's a very quiet but active lifestyle.
I would ask you how long you've lived there, but you said 21 years?
21 years, yeah.
And that's in the same house?
No. So after I was born, I lived, by Yorkview Public School for about a year. And then I moved to Upper James, and then came back when I was going into grade 1. And I've been in that house for about 20 years now. So same location.
So what difference did you notice growing up in your area versus other areas of Dundas?
I think as a kid, I had, I don't want to say more freedom, but I was in a safe enough neighborhood. It's like a one-way street that you can go up and down, and I could get on my scooter or my bike and safely kind of ride up and down the street and into the driving park and not really have to worry too much. And with probably 50 people living on the street, I had, a neighbor's eye constantly on me. So couldn't ever get into any trouble, couldn't throw any house parties when my parents went away. So I always had a neighborhood watch. And I think that's different from communities that you see like Pleasant Valley. You have a lot of families that live in there. It seems quiet, but it's a huge area to live in, and not too many parks in that region. And then you have like Watson's Lane area. Again, I don't know, you just have to, go elsewhere for activities, where I, grew up with them kind of in a central location.
So you got it all.
I got it all, yeah.
Actually, can you describe your neighbors? That's not
my neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, I live on a street with an older population, and so both of my neighbors have passed away and have been replaced recently. And Marion, we called her the mayor of Helen Street, and she always knew everybody's business, and she'd hear all the gossip from the street. but she'd also, be the one to kind of look out for me as a kid. And she was awesome. And then Teresa, she was a marvelous baker. And every Christmas Eve, she'd come home with a plate of her cookies and wish us Merry Christmas. But I mean, they were kind of there through, birthdays and holidays, and they'd bring over gifts and stuff, so it was really nice. And then now we have, more neighbors are moving in next door, and I mean, it's getting to be kind of a big rental area. There are a number of rental places, and I mean, they're nice houses, and you can get a pretty penny for rent there now. So it's kind of fleeting now. You don't really have too many, younger folks living on the streets. A lot of an older community or parents with young kids, so startup families. But it's great street. Do you want me to talk again?
Yeah, to say something.
Hey. Hi.
Hey,
What's up?
give a shout out to your neighborhood.
Your kites? What?
Where was I? So, what did you spend your allowance money on when you were a kid?
Well, I started receiving an allowance because my parents decided that I was old enough to buy my own clothes, and so I was about 12. So I guess it'd be saving up, for a new pair of shoes or for a sweater that I wanted. So that's pretty much what I spent it on.
So clothes.
Yes.
So what stores did you frequent when you were younger in Dundas, or even any store you can think of when you were younger that you just have a memorable moment in?
That's a hard question. I mean, I guess I worked at Rona for a long time. And Rona's now Shoppers Drug Mart. It's been torn down, but I spent a lot of days there. And it was owned by, I think, the same family for a number of years. And, they always made me feel like home. And, it's kind of a local place, so you'd see a lot of familiar faces, which I have continued to see. I mean, even here, I saw, a local contractor come in, and I was like, hey, how are you? Do you remember me? I worked at Rona. So that's I guess a big one for me, is kind of like my first real job.
What fads caught on while you were growing up?
Oh, goodness.
And your favorite fad?
Oh, and my favorite fad. Oh, goodness. So, oh man, growing up, Tamagotchis were one. Furbies, which I apparently had to have as a child and really never played with it. N64, but also like original Nintendo, with like Duck Hunter. That was also very popular. It's also the heyday of PlayStation. So I had me some PlayStation. What else? Obviously like Spice Girls. Awful clothing choices to go along with the Spice Girls. Butterfly clips. Had to have butterfly clips. Oh, but I don't know if I had a favorite. Tamagotchi was probably my favorite. And if I could, I'd probably get one today because they're kind of still awesome. I'd probably take better care of it.
I want to get you a Tamagotchi. So what kind of games would you play as a child? Not like, like tag or whatever. And what would be your favorite?
Grounders.
Grounders?
Yes. So I guess around like 2000, the driving park got this whole new accessible playground section. And it was awesome because, a lot of the other ones were a little dilapidated. And so Grounders was a kind of tag. And so you'd have, I think they'd have to have their eyes closed. Anyway, so there's someone who was it, and they had to close their eyes. And you had to be able to run around the playground. And if you touched the ground to get to another place, I think it was, and they yelled Grounders, then you were it, because you were on the ground. It sounds ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun, and we'd play it till the streetlights came on.
So what schools or school did you go to growing up?
I went to Yorkview Public School for grades 1 to 5, and then I went off to District for grades 6 to 8, and then Parkside for 9 to 12, which is now closed. Both Parkside and District are no longer schools.
So what was school like for you?
Which one? Anyone?
Yeah.
Any school?
Well, more the younger, the elementaries.
The elementary? Oh goodness, with a name like Shawna Butts, I had a hard life. There was a lot of jokes about my last name. But other than that, it was good. I mean, immature kids, right? Whatever. But, I have, a 7-year-old sister, and I look at what she's doing in school and what I did in school, and there's a huge difference. And, there was none of this weekly or daily agenda notes from teachers, none of this homework on weekends that's assigned. Like as a kid, it was, you either finished your homework in class or you took it home. And parents rarely knew what was happening in the lives of their kids. So, it's very hands-on these days. And I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't have an opinion on either way?
I don't know. Like, I kind of remember as a kid, learning to read at a much younger age than what kids are learning today. Like, they're more focused. I don't know. It's just, I think there's a huge difference in what they're learning. They're touching on subjects that we never did in school. Or at least they're a few, years ahead of us. So, it's interesting.
Did you learn cursive writing?
I did in grade 3.
Do you think it's important?
Important to learn cursive writing? I think yes and no. There's a kind of skill behind it that I think, people need to learn. But, cursive writing was always taught as a means to write faster. However, with the advent of computers and the popularity of laptops, you don't need to be able to write faster, not in university. I'm a faster typer than I am a handwriter. So for me, I'd say no, cursive writing, is not. But I think there's, a craft and a skill and kind of a, an ode to the past that I think is, respectable in that kind of thing. Teaches them, whips them into shape. Please don't edit that in. It's already in. Oh, goodness.
So what did you like about school?
Recess? No. I've always kind of been like a little social butterfly. And to me, school was more about socializing with friends than it was about learning. But then, I kind of whipped into shape for high school and, kind of buckled down and knew that if I wanted, a better life for myself, I needed to do a lot better in school. Well, not a lot better. I needed to do better in school.
So what was hard about school for you? Other than
spelling.
Spelling?
Oh, I'm an awful speller to this day. The English language, when you take linguistics in university and you actually learn how confusing phonetics is, that's why I was a bad speller. And to this day, I'm a bad speller. It's because they always tell you, sound it out. Well, not everyone says it the exact same way. There's dialect differences. So spelling is my kryptonite.
Beautiful. Who were your favorite teachers?
My favorite teacher, for at least at District, was probably Mr. Widup. He was a lot of fun. And now he teaches at Sir William Osler. And I saw him the other week, which was kind of weird and a little freaky because, you realize, I haven't been in grade 6 for 15 years and the guy hasn't aged. But he made learning fun. And, I think that's key to education is it can't just be, drilling information into people's heads, but he actually presented it in a way that was, succinct. He remembered it, and it was a lot of fun to learn from him. Another one, I can't remember her name, but she was the grade 10 high school teacher, and she taught history. And I don't know how anyone can do this, but she made learning World War I and World War II fun as well. And she just had this energy and excitement about her, and she brought that into all of her classrooms. I think her first name's Carolyn. I can't remember her. But she's with the board now, the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board.
So you can find her, right?
Yes, I could if I really needed to.
What types of organized events were you part of in school?
Organized events. Well, I decided to run for student council in elementary school. And we planted trees on the property. I don't know why we planted trees, but we did. And I think it was to make it greener. And so, I go by to pick up my sister at Yorkview today, and I say, oh, I planted those trees over there, and they're growing pretty nice. Organized events. In high school, I tended to do the 30-hour famine just to raise money so you wouldn't eat for 30 hours and you'd sleep over at the school, which is a lot of fun to do. District is a blank on me. I don't, yeah.
Memorable time there.
I know. Runs? I don't know.
What's the most significant memory you can think of from going to school?
Significant.
Good or bad?
Good or bad? I don't know. A significant memory. Leaving high school. I guess that's pretty significant. It was about time to leave high school. I mean, I like Dundas and I love living here, and I think it's a great place for people, to raise your kids. But after, a number of years living here, you kind of want to go out on your own and find who you are outside of the cliques of high school. And so graduating was really, I guess, a start of that. And so that's, I guess, a significant moment in my life was, finding out who I am and becoming the person that I am today.
Beautiful. So what types of things would you do after school?
Eat Triscuits with cheese.
That's it?
That's it. No, I would go home, and I guess my parents, wanted me to come home after school, and they instill on me, get your homework done right away. So I'd go home from school, and I'd do my homework, and I'd help make dinner. And then if it was a sports night, then I'd go out and I'd play soccer. Or on Tuesday nights, I'd go to cadets. I was a sea cadet over at the Dundas Recreation Center, I think is what it's called now. But yeah, that's what I did after school.
Who were your best friends? Describe them.
What years?
But the ones who hold the longest to you, like the ones that you hold closest to your heart, I guess.
Okay. It's been a few years, I guess, since I've, really talked to them. But as a child, my best friend was Kelsey Taylor. She actually lived a house down from me, or 2 houses down from me, and so she was the first person that I really met when I moved to Dundas, and we were best friends from elementary school to the end of high school. And we lost touch, afterwards through university. And she was the kind of she'd always look out for you. She was the kind of person who would always have your back in a tough situation. And she was always there, if I was having troubles at home or, troubles with boyfriends or other friends. And very close, longtime friend. Another one is Carrie Bill's mom. we were kind of like twins, sisters really. That's two peas in a pod. I mean, I could keep the puns coming, but that's what we were. And I met her at District and immediately hit it off with her and became best friends. And she ended up going off to Highland, and I mean, going to 2 different schools, you lose a bit of touch, but she has always been the person where it doesn't matter if it's been, a week, 6 months, a year. When we come back together, it's like no time has passed. And she's, has always been there, always made me laugh, got into some trouble with her a few times. Who else? Liam Lawson. I guess met him at District. Just the most lovable person in the entire world. Like, no one could hate Liam. He'd, if ever you're having a down day, he'd be there to give you a hug. Him, Carrie, and I would get into, a bit of trouble. It'd be fun, though.
What kind of trouble?
Oh, there was times where I didn't come home after the lights. And what else? Tobogganing trouble. None that I care to share on camera.
Well, I'd ask you what you do in your spare time, but obviously it was getting into trouble.
Getting into trouble, obviously. No, I do more than that in my spare time.
Well, what did you do in your spare time?
What did I do? Well, I played soccer for many years with the Dundas Youth Soccer Club. So I started when I was 6 and ended, I had to end when I was 18. So a lot of years. I also went through a phase where I guess I wanted to become a Navy SEAL and joined Sea Cadets. And that was a lot of fun. I think that helped, shape me into the person that I am today. I have a lot of self-discipline and, respect for people in my community. What else have I done in my spare time here? I danced. Yes, not very well, but I danced for about 3 years it was called Schweppes. And then I think it's called the Dundas Academy of Dance. It changed its name sometime, but yeah.
What types of hobbies did you have?
Well, my hobbies were soccer, and soccer.
Nice. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Everything. I had a ton of phases. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, like I just said. I really went through this phase of wanting to be not a doctor, but in the medical profession. And then I wanted to be a humanitarian, and that's what I originally enrolled in university for, but changed my mind about a year in. And then museum studies, which is why I'm here.
Why did you change your mind?
With international development.
Yeah.
I changed it because I was taking a class called Poverty, Food, and Hunger. And there's this wonderful professor who had worked for the United Nations for a number of years. And he said that you can't get anything done. It's not a grassroots type of organization. It's very much from the top down. And there's a lot of politics that go into funding efforts. And once you're in these communities, it's very much the UN's way or no way at all. And that was a big eye-opener. And I learned in my anthropology classes that anthropology is very much a grassroots movement. It's very much looking at the community, the culture, the society as a whole, and figuring out, how they function. And seeing that, you could put that to good use. You could go into a community in, say, Africa, and the United Nations could put in this fantastic water system, but this community is not going to use it because they have a culture, they have a society, and they prefer to do things one way over another. And if you're going to try and fix our society or humanity, why not do it to the way, you know, the culture and the community already does it? Why don't you make something work for them instead of enforcing something new upon them? And I thought that was, you know, a great idea. So I went with it and graduated with anthropology as my degree. It's still working. I'll let you know if it beeps or
creeps or okay. What did you want to be when you grow up? I did that. Well, I guess we've kind of covered this, but we'll keep going into it. What was life like in high school for you?
Some high schoolers there.
Yeah.
Life. It was fun. I mean, it's high school. There, I guess, was like a lot of pressure to, you know, succeed in high school because, you know, you're figuring out your future and, you know, very much, especially like my parents were like, this is the time when you figure out who you're going to be. And it's like, no, it's not the time. But, you know, I had a lot of friends in high school. I was never, you know, the overly popular, stuck-up person, and I wasn't, you know, some nobody, but I was nice to everyone, or at least, you know, that's how I feel I was in high school, and had a number of different friend groups that I would hang out with along the way, so it was good.
So that makes it hard to ask my next question, which was, what group did you belong to?
Oh, which group? I didn't have a group. I was everywhere. So.
What did you drift through then?
What did I drift through?
In the group category.
Well, I don't really want to put labels on people, so I don't know.
That's nice. How do you think you were perceived by others?
Loud. I have been told that is how others perceive me. Tell me you are loud. Yes, I am. I just have a voice that carries. I'm sorry, I did cadets.
It's admirable.
It's admirable. I blame cadets for my loudness.
At what age did you begin dating?
Well, are my parents seeing this?
Not if you don't want them to.
Like 14? Dating? That's what you want to call it. Dating. You call someone up on the phone. That's about it.
What kinds of activities did you do on a date?
I didn't really go on dates. I hate to say this. I was like 24 by the time I went on like my real first date. Because, you know, you're a poor high school student who has no money, no car to go anywhere. So I guess my dates were like walks. You know, maybe grab a cup of coffee. Maybe hang out at a house and watch a movie. Those were dates. And then as you get older, you know, you have a car and you have money to go out and buy dinner. So yeah, I didn't really do dates until, you know, university.
Do you want to describe your first date?
My first date, great first date. I don't actually want to describe this first date, so I'm going to do the second date.
Sure.
We'll do the second date. We went to dinner at McCabe's restaurant, and then we went to a hockey game. Went and saw the Guelph Storm play, which is a lot of fun, because I enjoy me some hockey.
What were your parents' advice / rules on dating?
My mom's the only one who really enforced dating rules. So there was no boys allowed in the bedroom, ever. I don't even think to this day. No kissing, at least that was like middle school era. And I don't really have any rules now. My mom, I guess my Nona was always to my mom, you know, why isn't he a nice boy? Why aren't you bringing home a nice boy? You should marry this boy. And so my mom has never been the kind of person to, you know, offer any advice or, you know, advise against someone, because she wants me to be able to make those decisions for myself and be able to, I guess, learn from mistakes. Thanks, Mom.
Well, we covered your first job. Was it at Rona?
Rona.
Your first job. Okay.
Well, no, not my first like Dundas job.
Okay. Well, what was your first job?
My first job was working at a trailer park in the general store up on Concession 6. So I'd sign campers in for their weekend, and I would sell ice cream and candy and pop and chips and that kind of thing. So that was like my first job.
How did you get it?
I saw it actually posted in the Dundas Star. And so I sent my resume over, and they said, come in for an interview, and then I got the job. Yeah.
Where was it? Any other significant jobs you've worked?
I worked for Diamonds for about 5 months. So I was their produce girl. So I would be in charge of making sure the produce was in good shape and putting it out on display, catching people out, eating pies, because I could, or at least sampling pies and tarts. You know, you gotta make sure the stuff you're putting out is good. And, you know, I'd help customers and stuff like that. So I worked there, yeah, for a while.
Once you got your license, where did you go?
I went to the mall to buy my mother a birthday present.
What'd you get her?
I cannot remember.
Do you know where you got it from? What store?
No, I know I went to Burlington Mall. I don't know what I got her. But that's like the first place that I went.
Can you describe that drive? Can you describe getting your license, getting the car, and getting to go do this?
Well, I took my friend, you know, because you gotta take a friend with you like the first time, right? You gotta enjoy it. And so it was raining. It was dark out because it was after school, but it was fun. I mean, my friend was like, "You enjoy driving, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I love driving."
Still to this day?
Still to this day.
What places did you see? You saw the mall.
I saw the mall, yeah.
Who did you go with?
My friend Alana.
You already covered if you wanted to move, and you did after high school.
I did.
Yes.
Yes,
And
moved to Guelph.
Did you want to move to Guelph?
I did, because I thought Guelph was the perfect place. It wasn't too far away from home that I couldn't come home on weekends and get like free food and laundry, right? But it also wasn't too close to home. It was like a perfect median.
It covers why and where.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite place in Dundas, and why?
I'm a little biased sitting here at the Dundas Museum and Archives. My favorite place, oh, that's hard. Ooh. Would either be the Dundas Driving Park or hiking along like the Webster's Falls trails. Those would be my top two favorite places in Dundas. Mostly because the Dundas Driving Park has a lot of memories for me, but also, you know, I get a chance to take my sister there, being, you know, 7 and 8, and get to see her have, you know, memories there. And Webster's Falls is just pretty. There's nothing wrong with that. Justifying my answer.
Tell me a story about either one of those places.
We'll do Webster's Falls. I've done a lot of the Dundas Driving Park. So I think I was in middle school, I believe, and my mom decided to start our hike into Webster's Falls, not from like Greensville, but we started on the Greensville Hill, just by there's like a gate that kind of goes across there. So we hiked up in through, and it was just so green. I mean, there's like, you know, streams flowing along, and I remember, you know, walking across a tree branch and just falling into the river. and I was soaking wet. But it was nice because it was a hot summer day, and so you finally, are sweating and all those bugs, and then you come up to the base of Webster's Falls, and you can kind of just stand kind of behind the falls and get misted and cool off, and then go back down through. It's nice. It was a nice bonding day.
Describe a person from Dundas that stands out to you.
They have to be from Dundas?
Or they can live in Dundas, or somewhere around Dundas. Or if you don't want to do that, just anybody in the world.
Anybody in the world. It's weird to say, but it's Russ Powers. Only because I remember meeting him when he was first starting out in politics, and has kind of been, I guess, a big name in the town ever since then. And now he's on the board of directors for the Dundas Museum, and get to see him once a month.
What was it like first meeting him?
Weird, because I don't know why that situation ever came up, because I wasn't old enough to vote. But I think it's because a friend of mine in middle school, he's his uncle, and decided, I guess, to introduce us to Russ Powers. I don't know. I really don't know. It was just a weird moment in my life that I cannot explain.
It's magic.
But he was very nice. Even though, we weren't like a voting age, he was still very nice to us, which was awesome.
Getting that vote early.
Yeah.
So what types of changes have you seen over the years in Dundas that you notice?
Oh, wow, a lot. I mean, I look at the Dundas Driving Park, and there have been a number of renovations over the years. They used to have this gigantic wading pool as soon as you got in, and that's no longer there. It's now kind of like a splash pad wading pool area. Rona is no longer at the corner of Albert and King Street. It's now a Shoppers Drug Mart. And Dairy Queen is gone. And that used to be, a staple after soccer practice and soccer games to go and, occasionally stop into Dairy Queen. And it's no longer there. And so, it's interesting to see the progression of the town, I guess, over the last 20 years. And there's a lot of more coffee shops. A lot. But it's not a bad thing.
What's the feeling you felt when you found out that the Dairy Queen closed?
Rage.
When was it too?
I think they closed it when I was in university, but I think I came home one weekend and it was just like dilapidated. And I was like, where is Dairy Queen? And they're like, oh yeah, they're putting in apartments there. And you're like, okay then. That's sad.
What makes Dundas unique to you, or in general?
I see places like Ancaster who don't really have a historic downtown anymore. And, you've seen Meadowlands kind of pop up and take over as the town center. But, King Street has always been the same. It is still historic in its look. And I think that's what's unique about Dundas is, I guess, the business, the BIA and people of the community aren't willing to part with, its town-like look. And even though Dundas is a part of the city of Hamilton, it still has always seemed to be a small community.
You're good at this. Do you recall any great stories or legends of the town?
Oh, it's gotta be Dundas District. So this legend has probably blown up over, many generations, but there was a train derailment just above where District is, so kind of like the peak area. And they had stored the deceased bodies in the basement of the auditorium. So there is this rumor that the auditorium is haunted, and of course you're entering into this, middle school and terrified of the auditorium. And there's other rumors. I don't know who haunts district. But there was always a rumor that the third floor girls' washroom is haunted, or was haunted, because it's no longer a school. And you'd hear stories of janitors, going through and cleaning the classrooms, and they'd go in to, I guess, mop the floor, and their mop and bucket would be on like the other end of the hallway, and they don't know why it was there. And there have been stories of motion sensors being set, and there's no one in the building, so no one knows why the police showed up. But those, I guess, are the legends of Dundas.
How do you think Dundas has made you who you are today?
I think because I lived in a place that allowed me to be, on a quiet street, in an environment that was safe. It allowed me to become, I guess, an independent person. And to this day, I guess I'm still a very independent in nature, and has really, I guess, given me a sense of community. And it's something that to this day, hopefully I'll get to stick around in Dundas for a little bit longer and not have to move away for work. But I would definitely like to reach out more and participate in my community in any sort of way, whether it be, for charity events or with Habitat for Humanity, for example. But I think, yes, it's a small town, but it's a small town with a lot of heart and a lot of community.
You should run for politics.
I should run for politics.
I will vote for you. Well. Or do what you want, really. Okay, can you describe the driving park to me? Not a story or anything. Can you actually try to map it out almost?
Yes.
Would you?
Would I?
Please.
Because you've never seen it. Have you seen it?
Maybe once in my life, but I don't remember. No.
Okay, so you come up Cross Street, and the entrance to the driving park is two limestone columns, and it's a circle because it used to be a racetrack for horses. Found that out a few years ago. And so you drive along. Do you want the new driving park or the old driving park?
Whatever works for you.
Okay, we'll do the one. Okay. So you go right into the driving park, and you go around the circle, and there's this big lawn, I guess, where the old pool used to be. And there's a brown wood house. Not house, but this was where the lawn bowling is. So you keep driving. You driving? You can only go 20 in the driving park. And then you have kind of the city of Hamilton kind of workstation, a bit diagonal from that. And then you can see Helen Street above the driving park on your right-hand side. And then as you keep driving, you see on your left the lawn bowling club. So it's got kind of black fences and then really lush green. I think it's fake grass, I'm not quite sure. And then a pavilion hut kind of thing. Then you keep going, and there's the cove. This is what I've always called it, cove. And it's kind of just a big cove-shaped, empty field with a pavilion on the front. And then there's stairs going up to Helen Street. And across from that is now the accessible park. And then you keep going, and stairs and hill to Helen Street. And then there's Baseball Diamond. That's key. And the Dundas Tennis Club, and you keep going around. And then there's the football field. There we go. Some houses in there too. Some people live in the park. So there's also a couple houses. And then there's Parkside, which is kind of above on a hill overlooking the driving park, which is really nice. Then you've got kind of another baseball diamond. And the new splash pad is right in the middle. And then there's a row of houses. And swings and slides opposite. And then you're kind of out of the driving park. It's pretty good. I wish you could actually see the driving park and be that is the driving park.
I'm gonna take that recording and I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna try to use that as a guide to get around there.
Yes.
Yes.
Successful.
Describe the downtown core.
One street.
Boom.
No. I'm a smart ass. It is made up of a lot of historic buildings and it's made up of one street.
Do you have a story about the downtown core? Would you please share a story about the downtown?
It's always Busker Fest and Cactus Fest. I mean, that's when, Busker Fest is when there's like buskers and stuff, but Cactus Fest is kind of nice because all the shops kind of set up along the street. And without actually having to go in them, you can, get a taste of Dundas and, there's food and rides. It's a lot of fun. My favorite times of year.
Do you want to tell me a story about Cactus Fest? Something that happened to you or just a day, a memorable time at Cactus
memorable
Fest?
Time. Eating a lot. I mean, Cactus Fest isn't necessarily fun except for the rides, whereas like Busker Fest, you have like funny buskers who are always there. And I think one guy's name is Jeff. He's really funny. He does a great act where he ties himself up in like a what are those? Straight jackets. And he does this like dance to I'm Too Sexy. And that is always a memorable one, and I don't think he comes to the Busker Fest anymore. But I mean, there's always like Cactus Fest parade that goes from the Dundas driving park downtown Dundas, and local businesses and stuff like that have floats and stuff in it, so it's cool. Those are good memories.
That's cool.
Been in a few parades myself.
As what?
As a member of the Dundas Soccer League, and I think I danced too once. Although I might be making that up, so don't put that in.
It's in.
It's in. You're not going to edit it.
Have you ever been to DVSA?
School of Art?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any story about it? Do you have anything? Can you describe it to me?
No, not really. I only went in for an art auction.
How was that?
A lot of overpriced things. At least for my money.
Have you been to the Carnegie Gallery?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Not really. Something memorable. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. I already knew that in advance. The Collins Hotel.
Love the food.
Tell me about that.
I always order the boneless chicken wings tossed in a mild barbecue sauce with a side order of fries. And beer. Now that I'm able to drink.
Beautiful. Do you know anything about the Collins Hotel?
It was owned by a man named Frank Collins, I believe. I think it used to be No, it didn't used to be Riley House. Okay, it was owned by Frank Collins, at least for a period of time, until 1913. And Mr. Howe took it over, and he found the Durham banner in the safe in the back of the Collins Hotel. And I don't know when it closed, but I know they're going to try and refinish it, like the outside at least. So that'll be good, because it needs a new face, a new paint job. It's getting old.
It's getting old. Let's see, there's Cactus Festival. Man, you covered Cactus and the Busker Fest without me even asking.
Really?
Way to go, yeah.
What?
Tell me about Hockeyville. That Kraft Hockeyville thing, right?
Oh, yeah. See, I was away at university when Kraft Hockeyville was happening, so I guess I wasn't here for the, whole support of it. So I'm really not the one to ask, although I was getting congratulations from friends. And I don't even think I voted.
What positive effects do you think it had on the town?
Well, they didn't close the Greitmeyer Arena, so that's definitely a positive thing that happened. And I don't know what the renovations really look like, because I don't think I've been in it since Hockeyville. because I haven't really been here. These are getting harder.
I'm sorry. Do you know much about the amalgamation?
Yes, no one wanted it.
Tell me about it. Your opinion, other opinions, what you've heard.
Well, I know a number of people on my street did not want the amalgamation to happen. And to this day, they still have Forever Dundas, in their window. And, yeah, I was kind of young when it happened, but I remember being upset that, Dundas was going to be a city now and we're going to lose, our town value. But I don't think anything community-wise has changed too much. I think tax-wise, yes.
So what negative effects do you think it had?
Higher taxes.
What positive effects do you think it had?
We get better snow removal service.
Coincide. What differences did you notice about the town after the amalgamation?
Our street always got plowed first during a snowstorm. I was young. I was probably 10 when it happened. So, I mean, if you ask my parents, they'd be able to tell you. But me, I didn't have a care in the world back then. So, I was 10. I was worried about my Furby.
After your Tamagotchi just died.
Yes, it did.
What's the first major news event you can recall?
9/11.
Where were you when that happened?
I was in the hallway at Dundas District. And I remember a kid coming down the hallway screaming, "A plane has hit the White House in the United States," which didn't happen. But, it just shows like how big, and out of proportion some news stories get. But I remember, teachers were told not to have any kind of radio on. They weren't allowed to watch it, I think, in the staff room for fear of, children kind of overhearing and seeing what was happening on the news. But once you hear that, I came home from school and I watched the news pretty much the whole night and just, continuously watching those towers fall. And I think stuff like that you'll always remember where you were when you heard about 9/11.
How do you think that affected you?
I think it opened my eyes, I guess, to the world more. I mean, I was 11, 12 years old, and so, you're very singular and, you're worried about math tests and very focused on you. But once you see something like that happen and realize the destruction, you're more than just you're more than just school, you're more than just Dundas, but it kind of has an effect. It reaches you like on a global scale, I guess. And so you kind of, when you see stuff like that, you realize, what the world actually is, especially at a young age. And it's not just, Barbies and popcorn. It's, wars and terrorism. And that's the future that we have today. It's reality. Go away. You can wait, yeah.
We're close to done anyways.
There we go.
All right. So what changes have you noticed in your life, like over the course of your life, in areas such as fashion, morality, and technology? Not necessarily in Dundas, just your life, little things you've noticed.
In morality, well, this could be Shawna's rant.
Go for it.
Kids these days. I had a job starting when I was, 13 years old. And I've noticed, especially, going to university and then to college and being able to live with, different age groups, that people who are young, even like 5 years younger than me, have no sense of, you know, money. They expect their parents to buy them everything. They don't expect themselves to get a job. They require a cell phone at like the age of 10. Who are you texting? Who do you need to be in contact with? I don't understand. And I think there's a part of, I guess, our society that, you know, there's something with disengaged youth that I'm noticing, and it's very much I, me, where, you know, when I was a kid, it was, you know, I was doing cadets, I was, you know, volunteering with my cadets, I, you know, would help raise money for like 30-hour famine. I went above and beyond my hours to complete, you know, my 40 hours for high school, and I wanted to, you know, push further because I could, because I wanted to do something better. But I just don't see that, I guess, in today's youth. They're all about, you know, skipping school and getting drunk and smoking pot. And I was like, I want a better life for myself. And, you know, I mean, we have the advent of the selfie. Why? Cell phones are everywhere. Televisions are now able to record you. Like, that's just, we're crossing a line. I think that we're crossing a line somewhere. But what was the other part of that question? Shawna's rant.
I was like, you kind of, it was fashion was the only thing you didn't really
cover.
Oh,
fashion.
Yeah. Fashion.
Oh, goodness. If the year 2000 to like 2004, that fashion era never occurs ever again, we're not going to miss anything.
Can you describe that fashion era?
That fashion era was like, you know, like the gelled back hair with like the 2 strips going down and, you know, bell bottoms. I mean, I guess that's like a reinvention of like the 70s, but then you have like itty bitty little crop tops to go with them, and, you know, there's just no need for that. Like Christina Aguilera's Dirty video, I'm like, no. There's like this era of like overly sexified women, and that just doesn't need to happen ever again.
So do you think we're out of that?
No, it's just in a different form. It's not like in that like perceived like dirty, you know, era. Yes, I'll watch the front desk when you're done.
Sorry, I gotta leave.
Okay.
Celia's gonna come up in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
But just listen for the door.
Okay.
Until she comes up. That's all right.
Yeah. I'm talking about Christina Aguilera's Dirty.
Oh man, that's been a couple of years.
Yeah, I know.
Is this part of the interview?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
now.
it is.
This is going to be transcribed and everything.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Bye. See you later. Good night.
But no, we are not out of the glorification and sexualization of women.
Do you think it's getting worse or just on a steady?
I think there has definitely been a move towards no longer having women being perceived as like a size 0. And I mean, France just made a law that if you are over or if you're under a certain BMI index, you will be legally charged. I guess the company, whoever hires the model, they'll, you know, go to jail for it. And I mean, it's nice to see, you know, a movement towards that, but I don't think, at least not in my generation, I don't think we'll ever not see, you know, overly sexualized women. It's because sex sells.
Half smirk of sadness.
It's a sad smirk.
I know. So I'm like, oh, it's true. It's okay. That's hard to transition into then. But what's the happiest moment of your life?
I don't think I've had the happiest moment of my life yet.
Up to date then.
Up to date, would probably be was me getting my acceptance to the University of Guelph. I think that was my happiest moment, knowing that I will be leaving home.
What do you want your happiest moment to be? What do you think it'll be?
Well, hopefully having kids. Hopefully that'll be the happiest moment of my life, but who knows?
What words of advice would you like to pass on to future generations?
Smarten up. I think our future generations need to look at the environment. And, you know, past generations have for so long, you know, destroyed the environment. I mean, we're at a tipping point with climate change today. Like, we need to move past bottled water. We need to move past packaged foods that cause obesity and allergies that have never been heard of before. And I think our generation needs to smarten up and take a look at what our society has become compared to what, you know, they want it to be. And I think our future generations need to take a stand. They need to be able to, you know, fight the good battles and not worry about war and fight each other over religion and over oil. Let's, you know, fight each other over electric cars. Let's just make our world a better place for everyone to live in. Let's, you know, fight for equality. Let's fight to provide people in underdeveloped countries with clean water, clean sanitation programs, food. And I think that's, you know, really what our future generations need to do. Get off your butt. And I mean, I need to do it too. And it's not just it needs to be a movement of all generations. We need everyone on board, and it's not just, I guess, up to the future. But I think they are our future, and they can make a difference.
They are our future. They can't make a difference. Put a little.
My slogan. Like I just stole Obama's change thing, but just kind of warped it a bit.
So it's really it. Is there anything else you would like to add? No?
No.
All right.
Not that I can think of. Although I'll probably find something tomorrow.